G'day, Stu here from UAVFutures. Welcome to Happy Flying, our weekly FPV live stream. Now, first things first, let's go through, do the audio checks, all that sort of stuff. I hope you guys are fantastic. We're going to kick back, we're going to relax, we're going to be talking all things FPV. Today, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to have some fun. So wherever you are in the world, hopefully this is coming through. You guys can hear me and it's all working. My computer did just shut down about 5 minutes before this stream. So I just want to double check some things are working, things are recording, all that sort of goodness before we continue. I can see a couple of people in the chat. Shout out to my members, Spruny, Johnny DRC. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, everybody else who is tuning in, thank you for just being part of my weekly stream. This is the best part of my working week. I get to connect with you guys. And we say it every single time. Like, I feel I'm exactly the same as you guys when we just love FPV. We love these drones. The only difference is, for a lot of my content, I just point a camera at it and film it, and that's the only difference. Hopefully you guys can enjoy some FPV as well. But let's see, who have we got here? Let me know what you're doing as well, where you're flying, what was the last thing you flew, or just tell me what you're up to in the FPV world as well as we go through and we talk about what's going to be coming up on today's stream. Other people saying good morning, audio is fine. Shout out, so I know we've got Chris Croft. He's here, a local in Brizzy actually. We've got other people talking about some conflict zones around the world. I'll try and stay away from some of those. We've got Turtle Racing as well saying good evening. I'm going to guess he's in the US because, is this correct? It's like pretty late over there. So it's 10 a.m. on Monday morning here in Australia, but it's not too sunny right now actually. So we've just hit winter. And where I live is not too bad, but it's a little bit overcast and depressing outside. Now let's go through. We're going to see what Johnny DRC is saying. 3 months since I last flown. Come on, mate, we've got to fix that. Even some line of sight. We've got to get some indoor whooping or something happening. What we've got coming up in today's stream, I need to do a bit of a breakdown because we're going to be talking about vtols. Like you'll notice we have this. Which we've shown a few times on the stream. It is absolutely massive, like it barely fits in here. We've got the Edge T3 now installed in the front, but I have been working a little bit with, I've been with Betaflight for a long time. Like that's my firmware that I know inside out. However, I switched over and recently, because that is like using Mission Planner or Arduino Pilot or whatever it's called. We are so lucky. If you are in the drone space and you think Betaflight is complex, oh my goodness. We're going to do a little bit of a discussion about how lucky we are to have Betaflight. And I'm going to show you exactly what it's like using Arduino Pilot and Mission Planner and that sort of stuff. You will be amazed. As a teacher looking in, I have some, I might have to do a video on it in order to get people just some friendly criticism to improve that product. We're going to be talking about this little craft, which I recently built, and I have to say I'm very excited for. This is with OpenIPC. If you're one of my members, you might have seen we had a little sneak peek video of my very first flight flying this thing around. This is actually rocking OpenIPC. We're able to connect it up to my phone. I'll show you a little bit about that, but like, can I just say, how nice is this build? This is using sort of the same tech as this absolute Frankenstein here. So this is the E-Sheen version. You can see we've got the VTX strapped on the top here versus this nice little compact one right in there. So run cam, we're going to be talking about that a little bit as well, giving you a bit of a sneak peek and a demo. Thank you to those people who are members. And if you would like to become a member to see some of those bonus videos, they're down below as well. Chris Mel, FPV, saying I've got a Meteor 75 Pro 04 Pro on the way. Super excited to fly that. Yep, I think you're going to be having a lot of fun. Interesting if that's the 75 with a Pro 04. That's kind of crazy. They're smashing that down into a little drone like that. We need to talk about like which sort of goggles should people get. I've been getting a lot of questions, actually some emails that I need to answer. We're going to do it on stream because it's easy for me to say, hey, here's a question. Here's a good question from some people. Let's answer them. So we've got some best tips on improving your flying. We've got a 71-year-old question, 71-year-old new pilot. He's coming in and there's a little bit of confusion about like DJI. What do they work with? And do you need controllers and all that sort of stuff? And we also have some other questions about like walk snail goggles and like which option should you get moving forward based on some old videos, what's outdated, what's not, are people suffering FPV burnout? We're going to be fixing that. And generally, like when I say it like that, we're just going to be having a good time hanging out and of course answering your questions. So if you have something you'd like me to look up online, if you'd like a product that you want me to talk about, offer some impressions on, or maybe something that I have a different take on, please throw it in the chat. And if you tag me like at UAVFutures as well, it makes it easier to answer those questions. And if I miss it, just like spam it again. I feel like that's the opposite advice of what most people say on YouTube, like don't spam. But yeah, I'm here to answer your questions, hang out with you guys, and just generally have a good time. Now, the number one thing we talk about every single week, I guess the first real topic I would just like to say, there's a big focus too on these streams about positive mental health. FPV is such an important, like life-changing hobby that is so beneficial to so many people out there. And I really feel like the clientele that is FPV, the community behind it, a lot of those people are slightly more recluse than the traditional, I guess, typical person in society. I'm not saying normal, I'm saying typical. And it can be hard to get outdoors, meet new people, and find new hobbies that aren't always in front of like a computer screen. And FPV is one of the best ways. You're going to learn a new skill. It is fun. It's exciting. You're going to get outdoors. You're going to like be flying around, having a blast, meeting new people as well. Just really cool places. And you will never look at the world again. You'll be like, wow, I can fly around there. I can do that. And FPV, if you haven't tried it, is such a positive mental health, life-changing hobby that I cannot stress strongly enough. And in the past, I have suffered from some mental health issues. I had a little bit of depression probably about 5 years ago now. It wasn't a great time in my life, and FPV really helped me here. And I would like to remove that stigma to let people know if that is you, if you are not feeling right and the FPV community is open to you, please don't feel like you have to suffer in silence, suffer in shame. I'm a big advocate of just being open about that in the past and letting people know that it's okay to not feel okay. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to be ashamed of it. And please go and speak to somebody, speak to some professionals, because you deserve to be happy. And I want to let you know that I'm saying this because I care about you. Like I really care about you and I want you to have the best life possible. FPV is absolutely life-changing. And if we can also improve your mental health and take some of those proactive good steps as well, please do that. Go and reach out, speak to some people. I don't want you to feel like you have to suffer alone, and it's not weak to speak at all. So if I can just break that little stigma here that people have to do it by themselves and put on a brave face, you don't need to do that. I just want you to be you and let you know that you are cared, you are valued about, you are special, and I'm grateful that you are here. All right. We're going to get on. We're going to talk about a little bit now. We're probably going to move in, talk about some actual drone topics, some of the things that we just covered. I'll just quickly catch up on chat. Johnny D sent the only goggles he has are my EV800Ds, but I can't find the faceplate. Oh yeah, they're definitely not my favorite goggle. Turtle RC Racing, it says, I've been flying my wings, just got the Walk Snail. I have the Fat Shark HD goggles. I used the Speedy Bee flight controller. Okay. So are they the Walk Snail Fat Shark combo? Is that the ones that you are flying with? Chris Croft is saying those Avion RC quads look very nice. We've got Great Scott in here as well, giving me some thumbs up signs. And it's good to see Crazy Rooster as well. He's saying, glad I get to make a coffee and hang out with you all. And of course, put this in the chat if anybody knows where should you get your coffee from, because that's where I start my day every single day. A shout out to and bonus points if you know who I'm talking about in the chat. I'm going to read it out in a couple of minutes and let me know where does UAVFutures get the best coffee in Australia from. Okay, now the first question. Okay, this is actual RC related. So Eddie RC, I'm building a micro quad and my flight controller doesn't have a smart sound solder pad, but my Walksnail 1S has a smart sound wire. What should I do? I think if I could, let's get this up on the screen. You should really just have these for, here we go. This is on the CADX website. Let's have a look. Here we go. Let's make this so you guys can see this. So where are we? I'm building a microquad and my flight controller doesn't have a smart sound solder pad. I don't know what a smart sound solder pad means, but my Walksnail 1S has a smart sound wire. What should I do? What I know is, like, you should have a UART, and all UARTs will have a RX wire and a TX, or a RX and a TX. And essentially on your UART, so if this is your little board for your video unit right here. Excuse me. So you've got your ground, you've got your positive, and then you've got your RX or your TX. I can't remember. This is either one or the other. Like, one of these two wires is an RX and the other one, vice versa, is going to be the opposite of that. All you need to do is to connect that up onto your flight controller board, and that will have an RX and a TX. So I feel like, Eddie, you're looking in the wrong. So a smart sound solder pad, it's got, as far as I know, nothing to do with that. You just need to connect your positive, your ground, and then you've got these two other wires right here, which are RX and a TX. They need to be connected up to your a spare UART that is on your drone. So your drone might have, you'll find some little pads that say RX1 and TX1. That will be for the UART1, or it might say, that might be taken up by your receiver possibly. So then there might be another UART on there that might be UART2. So it'll say RX2 and TX2. Connect these two wires up to there. And the tip is as well, if you are this I used to find this really tricky. If you have two RX pads, so this isn't gonna shine through. Maybe I need to do some drawing on the screen, but let's see. If you have what's going on here? If you have an RX pad, it needs to connect to the TX pad of the flight controller, and the TX pad on the flight controller needs to connect to the RX pad of the thing that you're going to be connecting it to. So in this case, the video system, because what that stands for, it stands for the transmitter and the receiver. So the transmitter pad is sending signals, and how do you receive those signals? Well, that needs to be transmitting signals, and it needs to be received by the RX pad, and vice versa. So then the video system here, its transmitting pad needs to be sent over to the receiving pad. So think of it like a pitcher and a catcher. So you can't have two pitchers. They're just going to be pitching at each other. They're not going to be able to be playing ball. And if you've got two catchers and they're just standing there, well, no one's actually sending anything. No one's ever transmitting any balls or baseballs, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to make some American analogy that's failing really badly, but hopefully that's going to get it. You actually need someone who's a pitcher, someone who's a catcher. That's going to work back, and they're going to be able to send them that way, and vice versa. That's probably a pretty poor analogy, but hopefully that's going to explain it a little bit. Other people are saying he's not looking at the chat. Oh, okay. There we go. I definitely went on a bit of a rant there. Let's see, what did I miss? Someone's saying smart audio. Smart audio for analogs. The RX-TX does it all for digital. Yeah, didn't he say he's got a Walksnail 1S Lite? So that's right here, Walksnail 1S Lite. That's not an audio. That's not an analog drone. So this is a digital VTX if you're using Walksnail. So you don't need to worry about any of that sort of stuff when it comes to, I don't know where there's no analog wire on here for smart audio. Yeah, other people saying, I'm assuming he's meaning smart audio, but yeah, look, it's not on there. Where does it say smart audio? On this. This is why I just automatically didn't go there. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the chat. But like, if he says he has a Walksnail 1S Lite, then there's no smart audio pad here. We've just got an RX and a TX. So, okay. The flight controller is labeled video in and video out. Okay. Well, so now we're talking about your flight controller. You need to connect it up to an RX and a TX. Don't worry about a smart audio port on your flight controller. Hopefully that video in, video out on the flight controller has nothing to do with the digital system that you're going to use. Okay, hopefully that helped you, Eddie. Now, what I want to talk about right now is, let me just get to this here. Sorry, and I was looking at chat just a little bit late there. Did anybody... Someone's saying Malice's FPV coffee trailer. No, incorrect. We are the coffee that I was hoping someone would mention. Let's see if we can get this next week, is Central Coast Coffee. So a huge shout out to them. If you know Phaser FPV, I've done some work with them in the past. They've been in the game for a long time here in Australia, probably about 8 years, maybe even longer. They also have a sister company which ships some coffee out. So shout out to them for sponsoring us with some coffee each week. Okay, we are so lucky to have Betaflight. If you are in the hobby and you are looking at Betaflight and you are scratching your head and saying, man, this is a little bit confusing. What am I meant to do here? I don't understand this. Why can't drones just be simple? You need to count your blessings, because recently I tried to set this up. This is my, I think it's like the ZMO, like tricopter right here. Let's just see if we can, I can't even get this into frame. I'm going to be able to do this one way or the other. Anyway, this right here, this massive beast of a quad, not even a quadcopter, of a VTOL, which means it transitions basically from a multi-rotor into a fixed-wing aircraft. I had to set that up, and it has been a complete nightmare and extremely humbling from a newcomer into a new system, because I've been doing drones for about 10 years, and a lot of the things that I take for granted, you don't realize just how difficult drones can be for a newcomer coming into the hobby. Now, thankfully, and this is a big reason of why I think a lot of people enjoy my videos, I was a teacher for 10 years. Like, that's my degree. That was my profession, teaching people. And I taught, I'm not going to say the dumbest people, I taught the people with the least amount of knowledge. So I taught children who basically, if you say, hey, can you write your name? If you don't specify what pencil to use and where to write it on the piece of paper and where to, which orientation you want that paper done, you're going to get all sorts of mistakes. You're like, oh man, can't these people just think for themselves? So I have become extremely good, I believe, in laying out instructions and looking at problems that people are going to have when they're putting something together, when they're working on a task or completing a project. Now, Betaflight is pretty darn good. There's still some suggestions that I would like to make. But recently, when setting this up, like, it has been crazy. Let me give you an example of what it is like to have a look inside Mission Planner. So I'm just going to plug this in. This is like the Arduino Mission Planner. Hopefully my computer doesn't explode while I do this. And there's no batteries in here or anything like that, so you don't have to worry. Johnny D is saying vtols stink. I've been working on mine for 3 years. Yeah, this has taken me days. Like, I mean literal days of like normal working weeks, normal working days, being in the studio downstairs, testing things, working things, doing documentation, trying to learn. Like, it's been intense. Let me show you what I've discovered so far. So if I open up Mission Planner right here, this is what it looks like. Bear with me. So actually, I've just got to, we have to connect first. So this is Ardupilot. Let's connect here. Hopefully this is going to connect right now. And I'll give you an example, right? So if you would like to change, let's go into setup. What's going on here? Okay. If you would like to change even say your arm switch on here, look how complex this is. So we go to setup, there's a bit of like mandatory hardware. Okay, so we're gonna need to do a bit of radio calibration. This doesn't look like, it's not a nice interface, but it doesn't look too terrible. But let me show you some other examples of some things I would like to possibly change in the future. It's like, okay, flight modes, I need to know what is doing what. So I had a look on here, and a lot of these things, like what does QRTL actually do? Like, oh, please don't, I don't want to save any of this. Oh my goodness. There we go. Like, it just doesn't even tell you. It'll say up the top what is actually happening, but like just the abbreviation. And there's no easy way to flick a switch on your radio and like we have it on Betaflight and say, oh, I want to do this. If you would like to change some stuff, you need to go into the configuration file. We're going to be looking at the full parameter list. Now, say you would like to arm something. Well, we need to find the arm setting, and wouldn't you know it, RX option, is this going to come up? Okay, so we've got a couple of different options, but essentially you need to go into somewhere like here, and I think instead of saying arm, it has to have a value of 153. because you need to look at some external documentation to find out that 153 actually correlates to ARM. And this is like really, really advanced software, and it can do some amazing stuff, but the user interface and the user experience, I have to say, is absolute garbage. And this is coming from somebody who, I've been in drones for a long time, and it reminds me a little bit, and I appreciate all the work that they've done. Like, this is constructive criticism on how to possibly improve a product. Someone saying, yeah, I hate Mission Planner. I've been working on mine for 3 years. Man, I really appreciate Betaflight devs after watching this. You have no idea, like, the amount of documentation that you have to follow in order to, not everything is right here as well. Like, even the names of, like, what does loiter mode mean? What does that actually do? Like, if it actually had some examples in here, that would be quite nice. And I can hear what people say. It shouldn't be so easy. You should be able to do this. Incorrect. I have been in drone for 10 years. I don't need to learn 153 to know that, oh, that means ARM. Just tell me that information right there. And the other part, there was something else that was critical that I really wanted to mention before I went on that little rant. I don't know. It's lost me right now, but like, yeah, trying to set this up, it is such a pain. And I think that this barrier to, oh, that's what I was going to mention. Okay, here it is. It reminds me, for anybody who has tried to install Betaflight and you have to go to GitHub, and then a lot of those things are like, oh, you need to compile the code here. Us users, can we just have somewhere that says download, like, this should be the #1 landing page, download Betaflight for Windows here, done. I don't care if there's a Linux code set and all that other deep dive stuff. For like the majority of users, there should be an extremely streamlined barrier, like the barriers of entry should be limited. And I know that there's releases, and then you go down and you can have a look at assets, and maybe the website's changing, but it just reminds me of like GitHub code. It is so annoying when you just want to find, can someone just tell me, where do I download this stuff from so I can get my drone working? I just want to go fly and rip around and have fun. And it's just this. If you think Betaflight is bad, is like, if the GitHub devs and the way that is set up, it is just like made for them. It is not very user friendly at all. Other people saying this is why I don't fly VTOL. Yeah, like loiter will circle. Yeah, I know that, but a lot of these abbreviations in here, like if we have a look at, like, and like trying to change these flight modes, if you would like to just stick that to like, oh, I want this arm switch to do that, like, which channel is this on? No, it doesn't work like that. If you've used Betaflight, like, can anybody see, how do I put this on my auxiliary switch 5 or auxiliary, there's different flight modes and some different PWM values. And trust me, this has been days and days. And yesterday was the first day where I was able to at least arm it, get all the settings correct, install ELRS, change the configs in here. Like, that's probably something I can show you. Let's go. I wanted to use I think it was RX option 4. Might be _4. One of these, so it actually wasn't one of these, it was one of the other. I had to change one of these values to 23 because that's what works with ELRS. Like, it doesn't say, do you want to use ELRS? No, I have to select like 23. I have to go and find out what that actually means and come back and enter it in here. So if you have ever used Betaflight and you think, oh, this is confusing, count yourself lucky. I'm going to be doing a bit of probably a better structured video on that in the future, and offering some suggestions and things that possibly could improve that, because I really like having other options. And it was extremely humbling for me to learn, to think, this is what it might be like for other people coming into Betaflight. It was so good to have these struggles and these trials and learn and be like, oh, okay, this does that. Oh, that, all right, I'm getting a little bit of an understanding. This is how this system actually works, because it, in hindsight, gives me some extra perspective on anybody coming into Betaflight today, into the hobby, to have a look and say, oh, these are some of the struggles that they're going to have. Just because it's easy for me doesn't mean that it's easy for new people coming into the hobby. And the same can be said with Ardupilot. It might be easier for those devs who work with this every single day, but from a newcomer, I say newcomer to this ecosystem, it's not It's not. It's anything but. But look, maybe they're watching this. Maybe they like it to be simple and they think, oh, it keeps the silly people out of Mission Planner. But I would be completely opposed to that because I don't think I'm a silly pilot. I'm very safe. I like drones. I like to promote fun with our multi-rotors and share that with other people and teach other people. So these barriers to entry, they're not stopping any of the negative things from the hobby. They're just stopping me enjoying the hobby. All right. EAF0 is saying, man, I struggled iNav, lol, this looks sucky. This makes iNav look simple. I just want to mention here, EAFO, if you've just become a member, brother, thank you, because I don't know if maybe I missed that, or this is the first time you've been catching one of the streams. I'm not too sure. Yeah, oh man, he has a watermelon. Oh, that watermelon in the background. Yeah, there we go. That was actually what we crashed into as well in one of our recent like speed testing videos. Okie dokie. I have my own wing. If I lose video, I can take off my goggles and it doesn't crash. Yeah, that's for the loiter mode and stuff. There's like so much I can do with this VTOL. It is just getting it to actually work. All right. So the next thing and if you've got any other questions as well, if you've got some cool products you want me to check out, please throw them in the chat. EAFO is Stickman. Is it? I didn't know he's changed his name. There we go. Like Stickman Steve. Okay. Yeah, if you've got any other questions, other things you want me to check out, please throw them in the chat down below. We can go check those out as well in just a little bit. But next, I would like to talk about this. And I'm really excited for this. So you would have been hearing a lot of buzz about OpenIPC. Check this out. So inside here, this is the RunCam. I think it's called like the Wi-Fi 2. There's a couple of different versions floating around all around about OpenIPC. And I flew let me get this VTOL out of here. It's taking up way too much space. Oh, there you go, Steve. We've got Steve in the chat as well. So recently we flew this one and it was kind of garbage. So this is the SphereLink 2. It's like as cheap as you can get it. But we have right here, and I didn't bring, I do have a battery right there. We have right here the RunCam solution, and it fits so much more nicely inside a drone. Now the stack is a little bit taller. Let's see if we can get this on the screen. I'll show you what it looks like. Let me get rid of Mission Planner. I've looked at that enough over the last little bit. Let's see. So this is it right here. So I've put this into my little drone right here. I can't even remember the name of this one. I really do like this little drone right here. It didn't quite fit because the stack was a little bit taller, so I need to extend the standoffs right here. However, it just feels like a much nicer product. And I did a little test run, and it did perform better than the SphereLink. Now, to quickly show you, and this is what I really like about this as well, and we've been asking for this for a long time, and this isn't going to be the solution for everybody, but if you're into FPV, you will know that you might have had this thought when you first started, because trust me, I get emailed this quite a lot. We have an old phone here, and simply what you need to do is, let's turn this phone on. Oh, it is on. 5% battery. Okay, let's see how we go. I've got my receiver here as well. I used to think, why can't I fly around using my iPad like when I first started in 2016? This is the receiver that we simply plug in to our phone. This is going to now wait for the signal from our drone. And let's see, I did bring a battery here. So let's have a look. So this should be booting up, and in a minute we should be able to connect on our phone. And it's getting all tangled between the microphone. Hang on. All right, let's have a look. Might have to plug and replug. All right, so you can see, hopefully. Hello. So the latency is a little bit, and it looks like we've frozen. There we go. That's probably a good indication. I don't know if there's too much Wi-Fi stuff going on here. We did have a low battery warning on the screen as well. But I am pretty hopeful that, let me just, oh, that was a strange noise, or was that the Velcro? Hopefully we didn't just burn something out. However, I am pretty excited for OpenIPC. It has to work. And I was watching a MadTech stream this morning, and he was talking about OpenIPC as well. What other people are doing is when they connect their goggles, so they put their goggles on, instead of using their phone, there is a RunCam solution that looks like this, which is this right here. And this has a HDMI out, and this connects up to your goggles. So we can connect that, and then that's what they're recording with, or that's what they're actually using to get it in. Now on MadTech's stream, it looked like he was getting some stuttering. So I'm really interested. Hopefully I have one of these in the post soon. I did contact RunCam. They're going to send one out because my original unit wasn't from RunCam. So we're going to be doing some testing with that. I really hope that it doesn't have that stuttering. Like maybe there's, I mean, if it does, that's not going to be good. But if we can get a solution that is cheap, comparable to like analog sort of prices, and offers some things that are like exciting to actually see, like some good HD quality video, I am all for it. Now, is it going to be better than analog? I don't know. I really need to test out the receiver unit because I don't like flying around with my phone. I think it's a great idea that people can use what they have to get into FPV. And if you can do that as cheaply as possible, just to experience FPV, I'm all for that. However, having an actual dedicated HDMI out option is where I think it's going to be very, very good for us. So I can't wait to see it. The unit is probably about $100, the RX unit, not terribly expensive. And then what you would be able to do with this, which I think might be a little bit exciting as well, is you can sort of feed this, like a lot of people, if they have like their Quest 3 goggles, I think their MetaQuest, like some VR goggles, maybe they've got some other things lying around, they can feed this into that to get that user experience. So I'm all for it. I really hope that it goes well. And if anybody else has seen some other stuff with OpenIPC, please let me know. And the difference between like that and Ruby as well, I need to do a bit of a deep dive on the differences between these two systems. If somebody could like give me a bit of a summary between OpenIPC and Ruby, and is it just like some firmware differences? What are like the main differences between those? Please let me know that, because I would like to learn some more and understand that as well. When it comes to cheap digital, I think that's something everybody wants. Okay. What I have here, I think it's time to answer some of your questions. Hey, 1973, welcome to the stream, everybody. If you're just new here, we do this every single week. We just hang out, have a good time. We're talking all things FPV, answering some of your questions, just going through some new products, sometimes talking about some old products as well, and just generally talking all things relating to the hobby. If it was info, let's see. Okay, looks like Stickman Steve's talking about some stuff with iNav, and it's way better for wings. Yeah, Betaflight is really good for drones. Wings, I think, might be coming from, I've heard some whispers of like they're working on wings more and more. But yeah, it's Ardupilot is not great though. Okie dokie. So I got this question. Let's move on. I want to show you this on the screen. And I promised the person that I was like, hey, look, I can write out a big email now, or I can just talk about this on the stream. So what we have here, I'm just checking that there is no personal details. So I got an email. This was last night, and it was just a bit of a follow-up on here. You mentioned how fast stuff changes in the hobby. This is an email sent to me. And I'm ready to continue. I thought I should check for an update. So I actually sent this email back in like October last year, and he's since bought the Walksnail Goggles L. So this is before the DJIs were out. This is before the N3. So in the previous video you sent, sent below, still the sweet spot, or is there a better plan now? So this is talking about like the Mobula 8, and we recommended a pocket radio. I watch a lot of action sports like Travis Pastrana, so a humble version of that would be good. I like the idea of ripping about through trees and skimming buildings. My main paranoia is if a drone gets distant, like 100 meters, he's going to lose it. What's an entry-level sweet spot now for the radio and a drone? I can chuck a camera on and be game enough to fly away at a distance. He's got an old GoPro 3, but some drones have great little add-on cameras. Or is the last video still that sweet spot? Okay, so you got to remember this too. This is about, the video he's talking about is 6 months, 8 months old or something. However, I only got this email, like sort of a response last night. I would say that if you have the Walksnail Goggles L already, if you already have those, there is still nothing wrong with the Radio Master Pocket. It is my go-to radio. I love it. I fly with it all the time. It's ELRS. It's like $60 or $65 if you check out DIY FPV. It's going to be amazing. Now, what you want to do here, if you want to be ripping through some trees, you're going to get 100 meters easily, no matter sort of what system that you're using. Whether you're using analog, Walksnail, DJI, I don't know about Open IPC, but 100 meters through like general, like park, field sort of flying isn't going to be an issue. You're not going to be able to go 100 meters through like thick woods with heaps of trees and that sort of stuff between you. Like the more obstacles that you put between you and the drone, the worse your video is going to be. And if you talk about like, I want to rip through trees and skimming the tops of buildings, you're probably wanting to go to build something a little bit more powerful than the Mobula 8 that was recommended in that video that is referred to in here. So something like this. I know Stickman Steve and myself, we did a video right here. What is this? This might be, is it the Icon? Can someone in the chat, I think, Chris Croft, what's the name of this one? It's a video where we did like no soldering. I think we put it out in December, but you're basically probably after a little 3-inch drone. And the good thing is your video system, so you've got the Walksnail goggles and your radio, are going to work with whatever drone that you want to put your Moonlight camera into. Now, the other part as well, you mentioned carrying a GoPro. I don't think you need to do that. So you will have, if you build a drone with a Moonlight inside it, or you can get one that's pre-made with a Moonlight, that's what's going to work with your goggles. That's a sort of VTX camera system that's going to be working for you. It's going to record some great onboard video. So you don't need to buy an extra action camera, an extra GoPro or anything like that to strap to your drone. The recording that you will get from the actual drone video itself, not only that's sent to your goggles, but it will also record on board on the drone as it's flying with a little SD card. If you got the Moonlight, it's going to be great. I think for somebody who just wants to rip around through some trees, some old, I'm going to say abandoned buildings here. Don't fly around people's property because they won't like that. Like, don't be flying down the street or the around some office buildings or anything like that. Fly in some nice safe places, make some good choices. But yeah, the Radio Master Pocket, if other people have some other ideas as well, Avion RC Icon 3, yeah, or 3.5. Yeah, thank you. That is exactly what this is. Yeah, you probably just want to spend a little bit more, this gentleman here in the email, on the drone itself, because you want to do the activities here, like skimming the copper tops of trees and buildings. Now, you won't need to worry about the 100 meters or it dropping out or anything like that. You're gonna have a great time with the radio and the video system that you currently have. Other people saying the Darwin Baby Ape 2. That's from Speruni. Let me check that out. Okay, let's have a look. That's this drone. However, analog. So if you were going to get a version like this, you'd want to get one that does not have a video system in there, because you need to make sure, because he said he has the Walksnail Goggles L, he needs to get the Walksnail compatible video in here. So this is analog. Does it come without analog version? What do we got here? It's for propellers and a battery. Okay, yeah, so I can't see any versions that don't have that. Let's pre-built drones. I mean, you could also, like, you don't need to go smaller as well. You could quite happily, if you want to cruise around with a 5-inch, do that. I wish there was one without camera. That's what we really need. But yeah, sort of any drone. You are open to any drone. What the drone should be the least part of your worries. What you're really asking is, are these goggles good? Yeah, you've got the Walksnail Goggles L. They're going to be fine for what you want to do. Should you get the cheap radio that was in that video, which is the Radio Master Pocket? The answer is yes. I love that radio. I cannot recommend it enough. I've used mine for years. You're not going to have any range issues or anything like that, especially within 100 meters. Like ELRS is an exceptionally robust link to your drone. And you'll probably, no matter what video system you're using, you will lose your video feed before you lose your radio link on a Radio Master Pocket. Alrighty. If you've got any other questions too, throw them in the chat. Let me know what would you get if you were that gentleman. And then, actually, I should answer this other question right here. So I also had this email and I said, you know what, I'll answer this and talk about this on the stream. And this is from somebody, and they are 71 years old. And they were like, hey, Stu, look, I'm recently getting into FPV. Can you please give me some guidance on this? And I was like, yeah, I can explain this a little bit more in a video. I feel like, picture's worth 1,000 words, and video's made up of 5 pictures? I don't know. But what we've got here, he said he just read online that the N3 goggles are compatible with the O4 air units, yes, and must be used with the DJI FPV controller. Is this correct? From my very limited knowledge of FPV, this doesn't make any sense, and I don't want to go all DJI. So I don't know where this information is coming from, but I would just like to clarify this. If you get the N3 goggles, you're going to have a great time with the DJI O4 air units, whether that be the Lite or the Pro, or what it's basically just called the O4 air unit or the Pro version. They are going to bind up to the N3 goggles and also the Goggles 3 from DJI. Now, this part here, when it talks about the DJI FPV controller, you can just completely ignore that, because all we are really talking about, I'm seeing if I had a spare one around here, is the air units. The air units and the radio and that stuff are two completely separate links. You have your drone, and inside here, the camera, the antenna for the video and the VTX, that is what would be the DJI. That is what is going to be streaming back to your goggles. You can connect that on anything that you like. You could put this on your dog, and you're with a little battery pack, and your dog could walk around, and maybe you've got some great whistle commands and you can make the sheepdog do a whole bunch of work or whatever. That is like the radio system. So whatever radio system you want to use to actually control the drone and move the drone, you can use ELRS, which means like the pocket radio. You could use TBS with their Crossfire system. The air unit here has nothing to do with how one of our FPV drones is controlled. They are two completely separate systems that do two completely different things. So it is not, you do not need a DJI controller to fly your drone if it has a DJI air unit in here. All the air unit is going to do is send the video back to your DJI goggles. Now, if you have a DJI video system, which is the air unit, and a DJI pair of goggles, yeah, they need to be the same to be able to talk. And if you have a radio system, which is, for example, a Radio Master Pocket, which uses ELRS, you will need an ELRS receiver in your drone. So as long as those two things are speaking the same language, it's all going to work. But buying an air unit and an N3 does not lock you in to a DJI ecosystem at all. It does in terms of like the video things, like which is the video systems that you are buying, but it doesn't lock you into anything else. Now, a really good analogy here is you might want to buy a Blu-ray player, and you, of course, will need to buy some Blu-ray discs to put inside that. But that doesn't mean you can use that on your television. You can use that on your projector. Whatever you connect that Blu-ray system up to is completely different than the actual Blu-ray and Blu-ray discs. So in that case, that would be DJI. And over here, what we're actually displaying that on, or what we're actually using, is a projector, or maybe a computer monitor, or maybe you want to connect it to your old school TV. that's what you're going to be connecting that up to. That system, I'm buying a Sony TV or something else. The TV is a completely different system to that. Hopefully that's another little analogy that might make sense. If you've got a better one, please let me know. In the actual answer is like, no, you can fly anything you want. Chris Croft is saying DJI N3 or Goggles 3 is compatible with FPV Controller 3, not FPV Controller 2. That's what DJI means. You can always use a separate link. Yeah. Okay, so I guess what he's reading is you can actually use these air units as a receiver if you would like to use a DJI radio to fly with, but we don't do that. I don't know anybody who flies around with a DJI radio. Johnny DRC is saying Ukraine have fiber optics now. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I've seen a lot of videos of that, but I try to stay away from that conflict sort of stuff. What's up? Have you got any long-range battery recommendations? I do, actually. So it depends, like for what sort of drone, because I have used, I think it's AU line. Let me do a bit of a Google for you. We have some things like this, if you would like to investigate. So this is from FPV Faster. They've got some other 6S versions as well. They're not cheap. It also depends on your current draw. But AU line has a couple of batteries which are made out of lithium ion packs, and they're not terrible. So this is what, well, there you go. He says 4S. So, and remember, this is in Australian dollars as well. So I don't know what that actual price, I don't know if this savings is actually real. I don't think anybody's paying $100 Australian for this. This is probably about $35 US, if I had to guess. Yeah, a cool, I've used them in the past. I've actually used them a lot on this build, believe it or not, before I retrofitted it. And remember, if you want to go long range, the key is like as light and efficient as possible. So every gram that you can strip from it, you don't want to be doing some crazy punch outs or anything. Just it's all about efficiency. Whoopster runs off a USB-C, I believe. I don't know what that means there. Yeah. So in terms of like 7-inch as well, you probably want to daisy chain some of these together. 7-inch is going to be a big battery there, Billy. That'd be my recommendation. If you want to go long range, you're probably looking at lithium ion and daisy chain them together, because this is too small for a 7-inch. 7-inch is going to need a little bit more a discharge rate as well. So just remember, go as light as possible if you would like to go long range. A bit of an interesting question there. Like I don't know too many people flying around. I don't know if 7-inch is actually the best for long range, because I have seen, like, let me know, what do you want to actually do with it here, Billy? If you could, like, where are you flying? Do you have, like, are you just flying for cinematography purposes? Because you also might not be choosing the correct drone for going that in long range. All right. I've also flown with Trappy. When he was recently, he did some crazy long range flights, and the one he was using, believe it or not, it was just like a 5-inch that was completely stripped down to be as light as possible. And it didn't have crazy motors, it didn't have a crazy punch out or anything like that. It was just a fun, like, it was just going exploring and cruising and having a good time. Okay, next, I'm just looking at the time here. I would like to sort of touch on a little bit on like some of the best tips to improve your flying. So I was having a look at over here at DIY-FPV, the world's greatest drone website. If you don't know about it, go check it out. And we have under this beginner questions, I was like, oh, okay. I do remember struggling this when I first sort of started, and let me know what was it like when you first started flying. But this is position while flying. So I have this weird problem. While flying, I tend to look towards where I'm turning, especially when I fly more active proximity flights and tight turns. This is especially a problem when I need to take turns in the same direction. and I start noticing that I'm standing or sitting with my head turned a lot to one side, so much that it actually interferes with flying good. So I try to recenter, but it feels so wrong. Turning my head without turning the drone to me. Am I alone in doing this? How do I stop doing this? The answer is, and this is some tips on how to get better at flying, this is just practice. When I first started flying, and for a long time of my even making content for YouTube, I was sitting down flying, and it was only through, like, it's just something that you're going to have to get used to. If you are turning your head and moving, that's because you've spent, I don't know, 20 years of your life walking around and looking where you're going to move. Now you're actually changing the orientation of your vision using a radio controller. It does feel a little bit alien for the brain to be able to do that. And the only way that I can say to improve this is, if you really wanted to, have like a solution on the back of your chair, or like have some sort of way where you can't twist your head too much. Or if you have a high chair, just take note and consciously try to keep your head centered here. Now, I'm still, sometimes I do suffer from this. If I'm really trying to fly in, like, not a race, but like some lap flying, really trying to fly as fast as I can, I will notice my head slowly turn, start to move. But you'll get used to it. There's a reason why people call it the Stevie Wonders, when they're sort of looking around, like shaking their head, and, you know, when they're doing some really, really fast flying. It happens to the best of us. The only way you can get past it is just to keep practicing. Some other tips I have, if you are a new pilot and you'd like to improve your skills, is using gates and flags and having an actual track is going to improve your flying drastically. Everybody can take your craft up into the air and do some flippy flops and sort of some gentle hovers and turns, but it is much more significant when the stakes are higher and the ground is right there. There is a tree there. You are really going to hone and focus your skills when you're looking at a gap that you have to fly with. Go out and make some of your own little gaps that you want to hit. Make some little flags that you want to go around. Practice those turns. Do it close to the ground, so the margin that you have, the room for error, is at a minimum. So, I mean, don't make it extreme. You're not trying to fly through something that's barely bigger than the drone, but at least make it 1.5 meters, or like a 6 foot wide gap where you can try and fly through that. And you can reduce it as you get better and better and better at flying. But that's the number one way to improve your flights, is to have those things that you are actively working on. Okay, I want to get through this gap and then be lined up for that next line or that next flip or that next turn, or whatever it's going to be. And the other part, this often happens as well. You might notice, if you're a freestyle pilot, here's a little tip to improve. You are always rolling left, or always doing some flips forwards instead of backwards. You will instinctively, when you first start flying, your brain will feel more comfortable turning or doing one motion over the other. And as soon as you notice that, the only way to do that is to actively force yourself to turn the other way. I used to always roll left and always preferred flying like left-hand turns, until I thought, all these tracks that I'm doing, I am much better at flying left than I am at flying right. So then what do I work on for a little while? You work on those weaknesses and you will improve. You will get better. Billy's saying open field, really, and a bit of speed. I used to have a 5 inch I use for cinematography, so I don't know. I just kind of want longer flight times, because I know it sounds weird, but that's what I mainly cared about. Yeah, if you want longer flight times, well, then you probably need to have a 5 inch. That's what it's about. A 7 inch is probably better suited to carrying some other payloads and things that aren't really my jam. I would say if you want to just go long range, long flight times, that's where it's at. Even like a little 4S Explorer from iFlight. I'm recently put one of those together. I'm expecting some really, really good flight times of them. 2 pool noodles and a piece of PVC. Yeah, that was my very first video on making some drone gates as well. And Chris Crawford saying, if there is an FPV racing club near you, join them. That will help you learn to be a better pilot. Probably a good time to shout out like Rebels, like the FPV club here in Brisbane. I notice on Facebook they're doing like Whoop events. They're doing race events. If you want to head along to one of them, I'll see if I can put it in the show notes after this or something as well. Billy's saying, I've seen videos on 7 inch with like 12-minute flight times. Yeah, you're going to get significantly more on a smaller craft. I've seen some crazy long flights on, I think I would be able to beat 12-inch flight times on, let's see if I can show you on the screen. It's AliExpress. Does it have a description? So like a little drone like this. Right here. Go away. There we go. You're probably going to get some crazy flight times. A 3000 milliamp hour, like 18650 pack, which is exactly what we just had. All right, well, we don't, what happens if we click here? Look at this, max hover time, 30 minutes. That's a hover time. So, I mean, obviously completely different to flying, but that's kind of crazy. That shows you that if you would like to really do some long range fun flying, it's this. But again, this isn't going to carry anything. Like, it's made to be as light as possible. Alrighty. Someone's saying, yeah, I've got 20 minutes on my 7-inch with a 4,500 milliamp 6S. Check out Betaflight. FPV Rebels Whoop indoor this Friday in the Brisbane area. That's from Chris Croft. Let's see. I'm just seeing if I can help some other people. Maybe I missed a comment or something there. Anyway, the last thing that I would like to mention, and I know this is probably not the most popular segment of my FPV streams, because to be honest, this isn't about FPV. It's actually about you. I would just like to say that, number one, thank you for being here. And number two, for that person out there that does need to hear this, I would like to let you know that you really are cared about. You are valued and you are special. Just thank you for being here. And you might say, oh, Stu can't possibly be talking to me. I am. You listening to this going, yeah, is he? Me? Yeah, I am. You right now. If you can hear this, and your little eardrums are sending that signal to your brain, and that internal thought is happening and saying, oh, is that me? It is. And this is the next part, that you are cared about, you are valued, and you are special. And I hope to see you here each and every week. And I want to say thank you. You're amazing. Be kind to each other, and most importantly, be kind to yourself, because you deserve it. You are awesome, and I'm proud of you, and I'm glad that you are here. So anyway, I'd just like to put that out there. And if anybody is suffering and they're not feeling like they're in their right headspace, please, it's not weak to speak. If you broke your leg, you're going to go to the doctors. And if you're that person today and you're feeling like, you know what, I'm feeling a bit ashamed of this, my head hasn't been going right and I don't know what to do, I would like to let you know that you are not alone. Other people feel like this and have felt like this. And please reach out and go and speak to somebody, because the world is a better place with you in it. And I'm glad that you're in it. And I believe in you that you can make that change to improve your life. Even if this needs to go out to that one person that hears this today, that's important for me to send that message. So if that is you, and it might be, I would just, I hope that you can hear me and let me know that you are cared about. All right. For everybody else, I'm going to say thank you so much. Subscribe for more FPV related content. If today is the day when you think, you know what, I do like your content, Stu, I am going to become a member. There is that little members button down there on YouTube. You can get some cool little logos and things like that. So thanks much, Johnny DRC. And some of the others that have been here, their name pops up in green in the chat. Not only are you super cool for doing it, it also does help support the channel, helps me make some content. We've got some more content. We actually recently just did a little members video that should be somewhere for members only. We have a heap of stuff coming. I know there wasn't too many videos last week because I have been doing so many like office days of literal learning and research and trying to get my head around Arduino Pilot, but there should be some really, really cool stuff coming now. I can't wait to catch up with Stickman Steve. We're going to be flying the 04 Lite in the Explorer. We've got the VTOL to fly. I'm hoping I can get my RX unit for the Wi-Fi 2 turning up sometime this week. So anyway, we've got heaps of cool stuff. Other people saying UAVFutures Discord as well. Mystery J is saying, huzzah, be rad to yourself. You guys are absolutely amazing. And as always, happy flying. I meant that too. If you were the person that I was speaking to before, I truly did mean that. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We also have the Mojito to fly as well from TBS. Like, I'm excited for that. So that should be finally getting here as well. It is finished with Stickman Steve. Okay. All right.